Welcome to the PHNX Coyotes postgame show, brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download today using code PHNX. And please, if you haven't, like, subscribe, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Leah Merrill, joined by Craig Morgan tonight. Thank you all so much for your patience with this delayed start time. Obviously, there's special circumstances tonight. PD is not joining us tonight because his father, Bob, tragically passed away last night at the age of 84. Craig?
Yeah, missing PD. It's been a tough day. I don't even know. Words fail at times like this, right, Leah? I mean, PD's dad, Bob, was a hockey legend at Bemidji. I think we all know all the national titles. He's still top 10 in wins in NCAA history and winning percentage as well. But that's just the numbers. I mean, I think, I hadn't been up to Bemidji to get a sense of the impact that family had on the community. But when Bemidji came down to play ASU a short time ago, PD went to that game with me. And that's when I really got a sense of how much the Peters family meant to that community, because I only saw PD for about 5 minutes that night. He was in the Bemidji locker room. He was talking to everybody. As we walked past the stands, there were people that recognized him, so he was talking to all of them. And of course, I mean, I didn't feel offended. It was just really cool to see how many people had connected with that family. That says it more than anything to me, more than the wins and the success. Just the kind of connection that exists between that family and that community. It was so plain to see. So they lost a really important member of the community, and I'm just feeling so much heartache for my good friend who I've known for a long time. PD's obviously on his way back. I don't even know he's back. He's probably back at this point with his family. This is a tough time, and so I just want him to know that I'm thinking about him and I love him. And I know, Leah, you've probably got some things to say as well, because you've spent a lot of time with PD in the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I haven't known PD as long as you have, but, just in all the time that we do spend together, really gotten to know him. I know his son Jackson as well from college. So my heart breaks for them and their family, and just hearing all of that, the impact that Bob had on that community, and just, the incredible son that he raised in Steve Peters. We get to experience that every day. So, our well wishes to him. And tomorrow, our live show at 10 a.m. will be a tribute show to Bob Peters. So we hope that you all tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. For that. And we will dive all into Bob Peters and his life and legacy, and for PD as well. So.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody out in the community, by the way, who reached out as well to send their condolences and tell us they were thinking about PD. We appreciate all of you. We appreciate this community.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we still have a game to talk about, and unfortunately it didn't go the way I think many of us saw it going, at least for the first half of the game. I was in the chat for the last 20 to 30 minutes or so. And I think everyone kind of feels the same feeling, that the Coyotes seem to have this one kind of, or had a chance to have it, and it got away from them at the end. Penalties just ruined them. And to me, I think this might have been the most heartbreaking loss of the season.
Yeah, it was tough on Andre Tourigny when he spoke to us just after the game. He's talked about the last few games. They've actually played very well 5-on-5. They've had more chances, and yet they just can't find a way to get a win. But you get that Clayton Keller goal late, and you think you're in a great position to post a win that you probably deserve tonight. And then you come to the end, and there's a in my mind, a questionable call on Phil Kessel, and too many money on the ice penalty that was very close. And in my opinion, I'm not sure you call it in that situation, especially when it's so close. I prefaced my first question to Andre Tourigny in the postgame press conference with, I don't want to get you in trouble, but what did you think of those two calls? And he said, probably what you thought of them. He didn't want to take the bait, didn't want to comment on them, but that said to me all that I needed to know. I don't think the Coyotes were happy with those two calls. And in the end, you still got to kill the penalties, but they probably shouldn't have been in that situation, and it cost them the game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because the Coyotes penalty kill is 29th and the Rangers power play is 7th. So, just from a statistics standpoint, they weren't putting themselves in a good position. But other than that, it was honestly a pretty equal game. Let's pull up the numbers, the shots. I mean, the Coyotes actually came out one shot ahead. The shots were pretty even the entire game. Of course, the power plays is what killed them. And also, the Coyotes trailed in faceoffs by a lot all night long. So, not a ton of puck possession. That second half of the second period, I felt like the Coyotes were in their defensive zone most of the second half of that second period. So, despite having some great chances and despite the effort and the numbers that we see there, just those penalties, man, they just got them.
On the note of the possession, it's important to remember too that Johan Larsson and Jay Beagle are out of the lineup, so two of their key faceoff guys are not here. They've got, as Andre was saying tonight, I mean, Clayton Keller played a little bit of center. Liam O'Brien played a little bit of center. Christian Fischer went out of this game early. He's not really a center, but he's played more center than those guys have. So, well, I mean, Clayton played it a long time ago, obviously, in his career, but they're really hurting at the center position. It seems like anybody that steps into that position gets hurt. And we don't have an update on Christian Fischer after he left this game tonight with an upper body injury after blocking a shot in the first period. So it just keeps coming. Andre did say that Johan Larsson will be back for the next game, so that'll help a little bit, but we don't really have much sense of the other guys right now. So the Coyotes will continue to play shorthanded. And on a team like this where they're already, deficient in many areas, that really hurts them.
That's great. Well, Karen had commented, we had a shorty, so that's something. That's true. The first shorthanded goal of the season for the Coyotes was also Loui Eriksson's first goal of the season as well, which was great to see from Keller and Labushkin. It was Eriksson's 11th shorthanded goal of his career. That's what I was trying to say. Spit it out. And his 599th point.
He thought he had another goal there early, the one that was.
Oh my gosh!
I asked Andre about that, and I guess their video guys got a really good look at it, and he said it wasn't quite in. It was on the line, just barely, like hanging on by a thread. It hadn't crossed the line completely. So,
but it was part of it was over the line, and I know the whole puck passed across the line, but I saw the replay, and it was pretty much like painful.
How much does that change the game, right? If they get that goal as well, you don't know. That's sometimes the way the game goes. This was a tough loss for the Coyotes.
I know.
They did a lot of good things.
It really was. Sammy D has a super chat. Is Chikrin saying you're going? Sammy, we will get to this a little bit later in the show, but I just want to acknowledge, thank you for your super chat. I promise we will get to the Chikrin trade rumors after we finish dissecting.
Thanks for the money, bud.
Game. Yeah, we appreciate
Seriously.
it. Yeah, Craig's been waiting all day to address these rumors as well. Another player that stood out for me tonight was Cam Dineen. That down ice pass that he had to Hayton that gave Hayton a breakaway opportunity. I just felt like I noticed him a lot tonight, and that he's really kind of stepped up and, gotten this opportunity and taken full advantage of it.
It's nice to see some of these Tucson guys getting that chance and making an impact in games. Dyson Mayo's a guy that we've been talking about for a while who's really comfortable playing some significant minutes. I know they pulled Kyle Capobianco out of the lineup tonight. He's had his struggles in the past few games, but he has had impact at various times. So they're getting some contributions from their Tucson guys, which is of course what you need to have happen when you have injuries. This season's a little bit different than anything we've seen in the past, but you still need that sort of contribution from your guys down in Tucson.
Yeah, and of course, JJ Mosier made his NHL debut tonight as well. So no points for him tonight. He was the -1s, but, great to see him make his debut. He's been really great in Tucson. 5th Coyote to make his NHL debut this season.
It's unbelievable, isn't it, to have that many guys making their league debut? But that speaks volumes about the season that we're watching with the Coyotes right now.
I know, right?
Absolutely. We got a chance to talk to him afterward, and I actually spoke to Bill Armstrong about him. I'll have several notes in my neutral zone, my notebook tomorrow that you can read on. Hey, is this me doing this instead of you? Just pushing the website right now?
No, look at you go.
Look at me. PHNX Sports. Come on. I will have a heavy notes column tomorrow. You'll have a lot of good information. That's one of them. JJ Mosier making his season debut. Bill Armstrong told me today that he thinks that he's been the best defenseman down in Tucson from start to finish this season, which is quite a statement for a guy who's just come over to North America. He's a little older, 21, but another sort of a success story of their deep scouting over in Europe. And again, the name Teal Fowler, the scout who found Karel Vejmelka, is the guy who was really pushing to bring JJ Mosier over as well.
Wow. That's really awesome to hear. And if you missed it a few weeks ago, Petey and I actually got the chance to interview him on episode 2 of Down the I-10. So if you're unfamiliar with who JJ Mosier is, you can go on our YouTube channel and go check that out, or it's also where you get podcasts as well. So look at Craig plugging his articles. Go PHNX.com, become a member. Look at this.
I got a little bit of a dry mouth right now. I could use an IPA to just
I know,
super
right?
chat, anybody? Super chat?
Oh, wait, we did just get a super chat. From Ruler 14. Thank you, Ruler 14. What do you think?
Well timed.
What do you think is most lacking besides the power play?
And this team overall, scoring, man.
Scoring,
when it goes back to what Andre said earlier, they had chances. They create a lot of chances. They have been the last few games, 5-on-5. They've been pretty good, but they don't have finishers on this team. And I've said this on this show a few times in the past. It feels like the Coyotes need to create twice as many chances as other teams if they're going to win games, because they just don't have the finishers. And look, we expected that in a rebuild year, but you just see it on a nightly basis. It has to be so frustrating for the coaches and the players, because they are doing a lot of good things in the last few games, but they're just not getting any reward for it.
Yeah, and I will say one thing that I have noticed over the course of the last few games is the shot chances have been pretty even. And I will say Wedgwood did play really well tonight, I thought, gave the Coyotes a chance. And it came down to those power penalty kills not being successful. But yeah. I do feel like Wedgwood had a way better game tonight than he did last week, and that better than Vejmelka had as well over the weekend. So I thought that was an improvement. I also thought that the Eriksson, Roussel, and Galchenyuk line looked phenomenal tonight. It was great to see Galchenyuk finally get some chances. He had a shot off the crossbar, which, again, it's crazy how just inches, like it was a matter of inches so many times in tonight's game.
Yes.
Which is extremely frustrating as well. So
Antoine Roussel had that one rush where he got around the defenseman and cut in. I think he just sort of hooked him near the end, but he still got a shot off. But he showed a good burst of speed. They had some chances, that line tonight. Yeah,
for sure. But it was Keller who kind of had the standout night, and that's why we chose Clayton Keller to be our DraftKings King of the Game. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, +1, 8 shots on goal. And he was getting into it at the end after the final buzzer, and Phil Kessel got involved there. So great effort from Kessel tonight all around, especially that move on his goal from Schmaltz and Strawman was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what I didn't look at the final stat sheet to see how much time he logged tonight, but he was on the ice a lot. And look, they were without Christian Fischer, so you have to replace the body anyway. But yeah, Clayton Keller earned his ice time tonight.
22-10.
One of the things that has been a constant thread for Clayton Keller as he's tried to establish himself in the NHL as one of those elite players is consistency. He has been good for most of this season, but he had hit a little patch here where he wasn't producing. And it's not all about production, but to be blunt, when you make Clayton Keller money, actually it is about production. You need to produce consistently. That's part of what you're paid for. And he had dipped the last couple games, and I was watching this one closely because I'm sort of waiting to get maybe halfway through the season to get a really good assessment of where Clayton Keller is. I've liked a lot of his season. I like the weight that he's put on and how it's made him more aggressive in going to the net. But again, it's about sustaining it over a long period of time. And when I saw him dip for a couple games, I wondered, okay, are we going to see another one of those periods of time where Clayton Keller just disappears for a little while? But man, he had a terrific game tonight. He really imposed his will on the game. Andre Tourigny talked about it after the game, how he just works. And when you work and you're that talented a player, you're going to get results because that combination works. He had the goal and the assist, so you can see it on the stat sheet. At one point he had 7 shots on goal. I don't know what he finished with.
8.
And he got 8 shots on goal. You mentioned the time on ice. He was a force on the ice tonight, so that's good to see because you don't, like I said, you don't want to string those games together where you're not having an impact, especially when you're one of those guys that has to be driving offense. He really drove offense tonight for the Coyotes.
Definitely. And, like I mentioned too, he was getting into it with Trouba at the end. So showing that emotion, and, Trouba's kind of made a name for himself around the NHL this season, but, not just on the stat sheet, but just, in those unspoken ways as well, making an impact. We mentioned that he's the DraftKings King of the Game. And as a reminder, our show is always brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And this week at DraftKings, new customers who sign up using the promo code PHNX and bet $1 on either team to score in an NFL game can win $100 in free bets. And tomorrow's Thursday, so you can do it on that game to get your free bets. There's so much that you can bet on. You can bet on hockey or not. You could bet on whatever you'd like. There's all sorts of player props, player futures. The Coyotes face Anaheim this week, and Trevor Zegras has been on fire. So if you want to throw some money on maybe him winning the Calder, that's something that I was considering today. So just all sorts of things that you can bet on using the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So be sure to sign up using that promo code PHNX and bet $1 on any team to score in an NFL game to get your $100 in free bets. That's 21 and over, Arizona only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. There's my plug for the Anaheim Ducks and Trevor Zegras.
Yeah, wow. You're really pushing that one hard. And by the way, when you look at the games coming up, the Coyotes are going to go on the road for 3 games now. They're going to go to Anaheim, Vancouver, and Seattle. I will be going to Seattle. I had hoped to go to Vancouver, but, border crossings right now are a little tricky. And Saul Bookman wasn't keen on me getting stuck in Canada for 2 weeks. And
not your family over freight. Christmas?
And I don't understand why you would want to pay my freight for 2 weeks in Vancouver. But anyway, I won't be going to Vancouver now, but I will have a couple of Vancouver-related stories. You can imagine what those might be. But when I look at this road trip now, Leah, and I don't want to discount the Coyotes' chances in any of these, but Vancouver has righted the ship right now under Bruce Boudreau. They're playing very well right now.
Yep.
Anaheim's been really good all season. We're going to hit the 30-game mark after those 2 games, and I wonder if we're talking about a 5-win season after 30 games. It's, I guess it's playing out the way some in the organization had hoped. And when you look at the standings now, with most of the teams pulling away, this is starting to feel like a 2-team race between the Canadiens and the Coyotes. There's a little bit of separation. Not quite enough yet with a couple other teams, but Ottawa's been playing better. I don't know if Seattle's going to be able to string together enough wins, but it feels right now like it could just become a 2-team race.
I know, it's crazy. It's funny that you mentioned Vancouver doing better. While we were waiting for you, Craig, a few of us went on Tankathon. And when I did it, Vancouver got the first pick. But Ruler 14 said, just sim the draft, we got first 3 times in a row. So I like that one better. And Islanders are awful. Yes, yeah. But they are still better than the Coyotes.
Yeah, I just can't see the Islanders being there. I don't see Vancouver being there either. Now they've figured something out. Look, I know they've had their own COVID issues, but they were on a plane to San Jose tonight, so they're still playing, unlike the Calgary Flames, who are just in the depths of something right now. It's just crazy. I actually talked to their GM, Brad Treliving, today, and it's just crazy what's happening. I talked to a few people up there, like Dave Tibbetts stuck in quarantine in his house with no symptoms. It's all tough. It's really tough right now what they're going through up there. So you just hope that the NHL comes out the other side of this. But man, I'm really starting to wonder about the Olympics and the viability of that at this point. Does anyone really? And first of all, you've got all these situations where you may have games that you have to make up. You've got players going, COVID spreading like crazy, like wildfire through the NHL right now. Are you really going to risk going to China, having a positive test and possibly getting stuck there? I know it's the worst case scenario, but 5 weeks in China. That's
no,
just be a nightmare scenario for any player.
I know it's been a really crazy week in the NHL, just all the COVID stuff. You're just glad to see that it's not affecting the Coyotes yet, and hopefully this is the peak, and it's downhill from here for downhill in terms of the numbers going down, not the trajectory. But it has been rough to see. But yeah, this upcoming road trip, it's crazy. Anaheim is in first place in the Pacific. I think I think you and I picked Anaheim to be last, and Petey had picked San Jose to be last in the Pacific. And now to see them first, they won 4-1 against Seattle tonight. Looking ahead of those games, I would have said that Vancouver and Seattle would be winnable. Like you had said, Vancouver's been hot ever since Bruce Boudreau has stepped in. Again, maybe Seattle's winnable. Do you see the Coyotes getting a win on this upcoming road trip?
That would be the game that I would point to as the possibility. I guess they already beat Seattle once, but maybe Seattle have payback in mind when they go back up there. I'm excited to see that arena too. Speaking of arenas, it's not a new arena, it's a refurbished arena, but it's supposed to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And one day I hope to be covering a game in a brand new arena in Arizona, covering the Arizona Coyotes in Tempe, or if that doesn't come through, maybe somewhere else. But man, I don't want to rehash this story. I don't want to think about this right now. So need to. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing that arena up there. It's supposed to be special.
Yeah, that'll be great. So you can follow along with Craig on that road trip on Twitter at Craig S. Morgan and at PHNX_Coyotes. And like we had said before, go PHNX.com, become a member so you can access all of Craig's stories, become a member in the members only Discord, get deals on merchandise as well. There's actually a really great deal if you're scrambling for last minute Christmas gifts. You can get a PHNX gift box. So this is a good deal. There's only 2 days left, but you can get 2 shirts of choice and a PHNX annual membership in that box. And when you buy a gift box, you get a $15 gift card to the PHNX locker. So if you're sitting here on what's today, December 15th, 10 days till Christmas, and you're wondering, oh no, what do I do? Here's a great gift option. So check that out for sure. I know you didn't want to get into the arena stuff, but there are some rumors that I know you've been wanting to address, and Sammy had mentioned it earlier in their super chat. So Jacob Chychrun, on the trading block, that was a rumor that started to circulate the internet today. What do you have to say, Craig?
This actually started way back when that first Islanders report, I think it was the fourth period or Hockey Now, forgive me, I'm not remembering which website reported it first, that the Islanders had inquired about Jacob Chychrun and the ask was astronomical. Basically, they were rebuffed. And look, going into this offseason, we had the sense that Jacob Chychrun was among very few untouchables on this roster. He was a guy who was coming off a Norris Trophy caliber season, a young defenseman on a very friendly contract that they could build around. So it made sense that he was a key piece of their future. And then that story came out. And I think what happens in those situations is once a name gets mentioned in any kind of trade rumor, basically any GM in the league has to do their diligence at that point, right? You don't want to be the guy who gets caught with his pants down, who did do the work, and then suddenly, wow, Jacob Chychrun was traded and I didn't inquire about him, and my ownership might be asking me why I didn't inquire because we could use a defenseman like Jacob Chychrun. So the calls start coming. And then when someone of Elliot Friedman's stature and caliber puts a note in his column, then everybody takes notice. The key distinction here, I think, this is a matter of semantics. With Elliot saying that he's getting the sense that the Coyotes are gauging Jacob Chychrun's worth. And I'll have much more on this in my notebook again tomorrow in the neutral zone. But I think there's a key distinction to be made between gauging interest and listening. And gauging to me is a more active process. Listening is, okay, my phone rang. I got to pick it up because it's another GM and I got to find out what they want. And listen, every GM's job is to consider every option out there for accomplishing their goals and improving their team. If a GM is not doing that on a daily basis, they shouldn't be in their post because they're not doing their job. So Bill's going to listen. He's going to listen to whatever's out there. But again, that doesn't mean that they're shopping Jacob Chikrin. It's entirely different. Look, is it possible that somebody could blow their socks off with an insane offer that he had to think about? Sure, that's possible. But again, take all of this with a grain of salt. I'll have a lot more details in my piece tomorrow, but just take that with a grain of salt, because I don't think it's quite as it's been characterized thus far.
Yeah, that it was shocking to see that in that column today, because like you said, it went from him being the one untouchable piece on this team to, oh, wait a second. But then I don't think anyone expected that. I don't think anyone kind of expected him also to have the season he's been having with his minus stats either. But of course, he's out this week still, at least tonight's game and Friday's game. More to come on that. You'd mentioned before that Fisher was out and didn't come back, so we'll follow up with that as well. Man, I feel like we pretty much covered everything from this game. Just frustrating, heartbreaking. Coyotes are leading the team in penalty minute, or leading the league in penalty minutes. With, I think they said it was an average of 12 a game or something like that. So
yeah, and one of the concerns there is where they're taking them to. I had that in my notebook today. They're taking a lot of offensive zone penalties, which is the one zone where you really, really don't want to be taking penalties unless you're coming to a teammate's defense or something like that. But those are, I mean, look, if you take a penalty in the defensive zone because you're trying to prevent a goal, or in the neutral zone because you're trying to prevent a rush, okay, a coach can probably live with that. But if you're taking penalties in the offensive zone, and the Coyotes were atop the league in that category, that's often just a sign of carelessness or frustration when we don't get a scoring chance or something doesn't go your way. They can't be doing that because, as you mentioned earlier, the PK stats are not really good for this team. They don't want to be shorthanded.
Nope. The one positive of the 3 penalties they took, they were scored against twice, but then on the other one they scored. So, we have to take the wins where we can get them. Yes, this was a heartbreaking loss because the Coyotes could have won this game, but at the same time, the New York Rangers are a really good team. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're, not on top, but toward the top of the Eastern Conference, and the Coyotes had a good game against them, and they had a chance to win. The long game is Payne for Shane, looking for that first overall pick, and they're still in a good position. So you just gotta, adjust your perspective when you cover Coyotes games and watch Coyotes games as fans too. So you got to think about it that way, at least.
Well, I guess we get to watch the next 2 from home, from the comforts of our home. So
indeed,
there's that.
Exactly. Well, like we'd mentioned at the top, our live show tomorrow at 10 a.m. Arizona time will be a tribute to Bob Peters, and just talking all about Bob Peters as well. So we hope you'll join us for that. If you can't, and that will be live on our YouTube channel, PHNX Sports, at 10 a.m. So please like and subscribe and follow the YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you get reminders when shows go live. And if you can't catch that show live, you can go back and watch it, or you can listen to it in audio format. Please follow us wherever you get your podcast, follow, and leave us a 5-star review, and leave us a written review too. It really helps us a lot, means a lot to us as well. Craig, any other final thoughts?
Nah, I'll see you in what is it now? 12 hours, 11 hours?
Less than 12 hours. Man, that's the reality of covering hockey. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you for being so active in the chat. I had a great time. My gosh, I can't speak anymore. Chatting with everyone.
You need an IPA?
I know, I do. At least my fridge is right there. You still have to drive all the way home. I know, I'm home. But anyway, we thank you all so much for your patience, and send Petey your love. Tweet at him at @SPetersHockey on Twitter. I'm sure he'd love to see all of your messages. Grateful again for this family and community that we've curated here at PHNX, and we appreciate you all so much, and we will see you tomorrow, and have a good night, everyone.